Well, hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we're live on a Friday afternoon. So welcome to Dear Mama Sal. And for those of you who don't know, Dear Mama Sal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week, and we talk about love, life, and other problems. But we do 3 different broadcasts on a Friday lunchtime, which it is here in southern British Columbia in Canada. We do what we call the skills one, where we try and learn something. And by the way, hi, Linda, good to see you. How are things in the UK? And then a Friday evening, we do our funnies, where we try to just laugh a little bit. And then on Sunday afternoons, we do our Soul Sunday broadcast. The reason I do 3 distinct and very different broadcasts is because I believe we need to continue to learn. I believe we need to continue to laugh. And also, we need to continue to ground ourselves and be responsible for doing that. So that is why we do the 3 different broadcasts. So I welcome you all. And if you are here for the first time, a very big welcome. You don't need to participate, but if you'd like to, that's great. Just remember, if you will, that the conversation stays up on YouTube after the broadcast is finished. So be careful not to talk about things that you don't want me to discuss. And you can tell the room and just put don't discuss, or Sal, don't repeat, and I won't repeat it. I'll see it, but I won't repeat it. Okay, so today I'm hoping that we've got a whole lot of fun things for you. Linda, seeing as you're here, did you try the trick about doing your own yeast? That's what I wanted to ask you. I've got all sorts of stuff for you today that I hope you're going to enjoy. Hi, Beth. Good to see you. All right, so yeast. Let me start with the yeast. Linda, what I found was that this is my bread roll for today that I'm making, but when I make the dough, Linda, I just take a little bit of it and I mix it with some water. In other words, when I've done the dough, I'll take probably about this much of it, and then just blend it with some water to make it sort of pretty runny. And then if I get too much, what I do is I just dry it like this, Linda. I just put it in something flat and let it dry. Actually here, this obviously was in a muffin tin. And, I can either keep it like this or, I can blend it, and turn it into powdered yeast. Now, which I probably will do with these. I also don't ever throw these little silicone gel things away, that you get in some things. Please keep them. They're really good to keep. So that was the first thing, Linda. I wanted to make sure that you know that I've been doing that and it works for me. So I'm going to put that away. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is really think about containers. I'm encouraging everybody to lower their carbon footprint. So one of the things that I do is I test my blood sugar because I'm pre-diabetic, which means I use a lot of these little containers that contain the testers for when I take my blood. When I take my blood, I sound like a vampire, don't I? Anyway, so I kept looking at these, and I go through at least a couple of these every month. And I thought, there has to be a good reason to keep these. I've just got to find out what it is. And I threw a lot away before I thought, wow. For those of you who are artistic or are crafty, they are perfect containers for, this is leftover paint, obviously. But how about, if you've got sequins or beads or whatever. And the other thing I was thinking about is, if I look at how I've got things in my fridge, there are an awful lot of stuff where I've got a little bit of gravy left over or something, perfect way to keep them. So I thought I'd share that with you. So I just now hang on to these and use them in a sensible way. I did get asked if I could show people what I'm doing with my muffins. So let's have a little talk about that. Let me just show you here. First of all, this is a reused container. It was one of these things. But I really think about, if I'm going to buy anything in plastic, is it the size or the shape that I can reuse it? And so, interesting. So Jody is saying, is that in one of these, Jody? Jody's saying she keeps her memory cards in these containers. So very, very clever. All right. And maybe we'll have a competition. How many things can we find? As some of you know, that I am pre-diabetic, and so, but I do like to have dessert, and I'm just going to do it this way for a while. And so what I thought was, I need to find a way I can have dessert and it won't overly spike my blood sugar. Now, obviously, if I have a cupcake, and by the way, I quite often mix up all of this and keep it in the fridge, and then every night make one cupcake. But, you know, if you look at it, the net carbs, I'm getting good on this now. All right, so your regular carbs on this is 12%, but it's got 4% fiber in it. So I believe that would be 8 net carbs. Wow, that's interesting. Sorry, I just stalled for a second because Linda often can't stay very long, but she's saying, you know, I put up a Facebook thing that I had put up 4 years ago, which said, you know, I want to be an inspiration, and I think we all would like to do that. I want somebody to say they didn't give up because of something that I said or did or whatever. And Linda's saying, just to say, after your Facebook post mentioned, because of you, I never gave up. I wanted to personally thank you, honestly. If I hadn't met you, I think my son would no longer still be at home with me. Wow. Just so people understand, and am I allowed to mention why? And so, and you know, I met Linda at a time when she was really struggling. All right, I'll wait for the reply on that. Okay, so here's the thing. I can choose to have a cupcake, but then I realized if I made a muffin, a healthy muffin, it would be less sugar, less whatever. So what I did was I started thinking, you know, I think I'll have an oat muffin at night. Now, I did read all the, you know, stuff. So let's see, what's the difference? If I have an oat muffin, the carbs, the net carbs are only 4. Okay, so that's net carbs are 4 instead of 8. So first of all, just by going to having a muffin lowers the net carbs down 50%. So that was a good thing. But then I thought about something that, you know, Jody taught me, which was think about almond flour rather than regular flour. So what I started to do was I started to make a mix that was 50% a muffin mix and then 50% almond flour. And you see little bits in there. They're little bits of fruit that I've put in there. So dried fruit. So now I've already cut the carbs down by half, but now I'm adding almond flour, cuts it down even more. And then I can add raisins and you know, I normally put some almonds on top. So I'm getting my fruit in a nice way and getting a dessert in a fairly healthy way. Not perfectly healthy, obviously, because, you know, you don't want to be, I think it was something that Jody said to me, you know, you need to be able to live. So that's it. I've got a couple of things before I get into the other part. I treated myself to some silicone cupcake goodies. Now, first of all, it lowers your carbon footprint because you're not using paper. But they are so useful. I'm just amazed how much I use them. And by the way, I quite often will put two together because it gives it more strength. And that means that I can put it into the toaster oven to bake my muffin without having muffin trays. You understand? You can just put a couple of these and it will hold it. So think about lowering your carbon footprint by having silicone rather than anything else. The other thing, if anybody knows how to clean them, and they start to get stained. Did you? I know Jody mentioned that as well. They do start to get a bit stained after a while. So if anybody knows how to get rid of that, let me know and let us know either in the comments below or right here. I wanted to mention before I get too much into this, I treated myself to a stainless steel rolling pin this year. I had this one for many years. It's done me well, and you can tell I haven't thrown it away yet. But, it was starting to crack, which we all know isn't going to be very healthy. And so I knew I needed a new one. And I didn't think I was going to like this because it hasn't got handles at the side. You're used to doing this and you're going, yeah, but this hasn't got handles. So what I wanted to tell you is it doesn't matter. The other thing, wait a minute, before I forget, it has all sorts of different sizes that you put on the ends here. So you can get it different depths, but you actually just roll it like this. So, it doesn't need the handles and it works beautifully. What I love about it is it cleans up so easily. Now, it's got lots of graduation marks on it and things, which I don't use, but, it's just like, it just really cleans up beautifully. I use it and I just take a wet cloth and clean it and put it away. Way better. And I thought I would mention that for anybody that's thinking about maybe replacing this. All right, so let's do another container thing. I use this on top of my coffee sometimes. So what I found out was that these containers are quite useful. What I do is I put a little bit of press and seal on top and make a small hole so that it controls it. And then I use them to water my plants. So I'll have one in my bathroom where I've got some plants and stuff. But it just really is a really good way to just water your indoor plants. Very easy. So that's another thought. Put that away. Got quite a lot of stuff here. Okay, so Linda did have to go. So all the best, Linda. Thank you for being with us, and Nicholas as well. All right, so couple of things. Still talking kitchen. Basil, which I'm growing from seed. But what I wanted to let you know is that, I just keep taking the next little bit off and using it as I cook. But if you want to dry herbs that you've bought from the store, I really recommend just wrapping them in paper. I just want to show you. And you don't need to do anything else with them. Just literally wrap them in paper. And paper towel. of some sort. And literally they dry beautifully. They keep their color, and you can just, as you need it, you just unwrap it and use it. So that is the basil, just so that you can see. And obviously, if you want to put them into containers, you can, but I use mine up pretty quickly. So, and this is the mint, which you all know I've been growing all summer. Well, yeah, and look how it's kept its color. Oops, there we go. And it's a very much. By the way, I throw mint into my salads now. And some basil leaves as well. Just really gives the salad a pop. All right, so there we go with that. What did I do with the container? There it is. Okay. And you might wonder why I've got a bean to show you. Well, you probably know. For those of you who've been watching me for some time. And this is now, I think, my third or fourth bean. And I just wanted to let you know, yes, I am eating them now. So that was, I've been growing them from seed over the last few months. And it's a labor of love. And every now and then I get one bean. And it's so exciting. The strawberries I'm getting used to, but, the bean, quite something. I wanted to talk to, starting next week. Okay, so hang on, let me see what Beth's saying here. We are back to not being required to wear masks again in Kentucky. Our county judge issued a temporary restraining order barring the governor from enforcing the mask order. We are all so confused. Yeah, you know something, Beth? I can imagine. It's barring it from enforcing it. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't wear it, okay? And, as I've said to you many, many times, Beth, in all these broadcasts, right? There are going to be stupid people doing stupid things. The only thing we can do is the best we can do, right? And the best we can do is that we need to protect ourselves and our friends as best we can. And, that's all we can do, quite honestly. But I can imagine how confusing it must be. I hate to say this, but I'm sure you understand it. I literally am praying that Canada does not open the border with the States. When you see how our numbers are, it's just like, please don't open that border. At the moment, we're doing a lot of testing and we've got a pretty good handle on what's going on, and we don't have very many cases. Oh, interesting. So, hi, Samantha. Or do we call you Sam? But I literally have been saying, and it's not that I don't love my American viewers to bits. I do, you know that. But it's like, really, I don't want. That I want to go down and visit baby Leah. But, it's not worth it to me. It's a death warrant for me. If I get that thing, I'm a dead person. I have 4 major factors that will make me susceptible. So, okay. So Samantha's saying Samantha is fine, which means that she prefers that. But isn't that nice? She said, I'm an American living in Canada, and I completely agree. Samantha is fine. Thank you for asking. We're actually quite nice people here, Samantha. Well, some, So we'll get onto that a bit later if we can. What I wanted to say is next week, I believe my big freezer is going to arrive, and I'm ready for it. I've tidied up the craft room to make room for it. But one of the things that I wanted the freezer for is to be able to freeze fruit for the winter. And because I do believe that the price of fruit will go through the roof. It's already starting to do that. But here's something I want to just mention to you. If you have frozen fruit and you just put it in a mason jar to thaw, you will end up with, you can probably see that, quite a bit of juice. And what I do is I take that juice and put it in my smoothies. And then I will put the fruit into yogurt or whatever else I want to do with it. Or some of it I put into my muffins if I want to. So, but what I'm saying is that at the end of summer, we're going to have probably a lot of fruit available when they're trying to get rid of what they have in the fields. And I want to be able to freeze it and have it for the winter. So, which brings me to the point about wherever you can, I wanted to show you something. Let me think here. Okay, I'm not going to go to the storage cupboard right now, but I bought a big tub of honey, which I just put into a smaller container in glass. Why? I can reuse the container. I do have some honey in this sort of container, with the top on it like this, because I do find this sort of container really useful for things like oil. If I'm cooking, I can just put some drops of oil in, just like that. But think glass rather than plastic wherever you can. Beth is saying, I feel like I must wear a sign around my neck at work, letting customers know I'm not wearing a mask because of my compromised lung condition, which I believe is my own business. Yeah, so I would just say I am wearing a mask. Oh, you said that you're not wearing a mask. Oh, because of because you find it difficult to breathe in one of those masks? Something though, I think anything you can do to educate people is a good idea, Beth. And do you find that difficult with an N95 mask? I fortunately have some N95 masks and I find them very easy to breathe in. So you can't get one. No, I actually got mine from China. I ordered mine back in February. And I just bought a couple of them for myself before they told me we weren't allowed to do that. Okay, let me think here. Again, carbon footprint. Please, wherever you can, use face cloths instead of paper towels. The reason face cloths are so easy is because you've always got room for one of these or two of these in your wash. And that means that you can, change them up every day, which is much more hygienic, but also it's just so easy to keep them clean. And I personally have been using face cloths instead of paper towels for years. However, occasionally I do use a paper towel. But I know it sounds insane, but I reuse them. I literally, when I've used a paper towel, let me just show you, if I use a paper towel, I'm cleaning down the top like this, I will just throw it into the sink. And then at the end of the day, when I say at the end of the day, but the next time I load up the dishwasher or whatever, I will just rinse it out. Okay, and I'll just put it here to dry off. Or if I do it at night, I literally will just leave it on the countertop like this, and by the morning it will be dry. And when it's dry, I just put it in the top. But the point that I'm trying to say is, think about not throwing away paper towels as much. I think, Jody, you started to do it. I know Jody also was telling me that she has started to do The other thing that I really recommend, get them so you can see it, which is reuse your baggies. If you're going to use plastic bags, please reuse them. Buy good ones, buy thick ones, and then you can wash them and reuse them. I've probably had this lot. I should really put a date on them when I open up. I've probably had these at least a year, and I'm still using them. So, that's that much plastic not in the landfill, as far as I'm concerned, which is a good thing. So, let me see what Beth's saying here. I already feel like, with my medical condition, now I have to deal with customers being upset with me because I'm not wearing a mask. Either way, it's more stress on me than I can handle. I would definitely wear, I definitely would get, you probably got a friend who's got a die cutting machine or something, or just literally print one out on your printer and, and put it on a button. I have a lung, all right, my medical condition does not allow me to wear a mask. He might be able to give you what, an N95? The other thing is, Beth, if I can make this suggestion to you, is treat them with kindness. If they're wearing a mask, say thank you so much for wearing yours and please continue to. The reason I have a lung condition, you might say this, is I have already had the virus. I had it back in January, apparently. And so, this is like, I'm recovering. And, who knows how many years it'll take to recover from this thing. From what I hear, that, they're only now beginning to find out the damage that it can do to your brain and your blood vessels and all sorts of things. So, I wouldn't, I understand why you don't want everybody to know your medical history. But, if people are doing that, having a sign on you that says, this is why I'm not wearing a mask, I think people will appreciate that. The same way is, if you have somebody that's training on the till, I think you should have a little notice that says, we are trained, hi, I'm Jane and I'm training. Why? Because everybody will be much more patient with them if they know they're training and not, and that's why they're a bit slower than the other people. Samantha's saying, Beth, I'm not sure what the laws are where you are, but your employer might have the obligation to accommodate your current needs and provide you with the proper, oh, good point, Samantha. Well, got a smart one there. Yeah, and Beth is saying that it has also affected her MS. She suffers from MS, amongst other things. My tumors have grown since the virus. Yep, I'm not surprised. Yeah, Samantha, don't worry about the typo stuff. We read typos really well here. Communication is more important to us than perfection. Anyway, so go back to that. And how many of you are using face cloths instead of paper towels, just as a matter of interest? I wonder how many of you are doing that. And the other thing I want to warn you is that I found out that if you wash black face cloths enough, they become blue ones. Isn't that interesting? They were all originally black. I don't know if you can see that these have turned blue. The red comes out of them and they turn back to blue. Okay, so let's do that. Beth, seeing as you're with us, I really would love you to help us learn more tricks about how to sanitize a lot. Beth's saying she used microfiber a lot. Yes. I use mine as much, I don't use my kitchen towel as much as I use one of these. I normally have two of them on my counter, one dry and one wet, just so that you know, if I'm cooking. Why? I want the wet one to wipe up stuff, and I normally use the dry one to dry my hands. Because again, why wash a whole towel, kitchen towel, when I can just use this? Okay. Moving right along. Beth, do you mix up your own cleaner? I've been mixing. This is actually my sort of general purpose cleaner. Ah, awesome. Beth's saying she's off Sunday and Monday. I will write down some cleaning stuff. Good. I've been mixing up my own for about 3 or 4 months now. And all this is a little bit of rubbing alcohol with some filtered water. The reason I want it filtered is I don't want the spots. And just literally a very small amount of Dawn dishwashing soap. And I use this as a general purpose cleaner every day. Yeah. And apparently shake it before you use it. I'm just looking at this. Yeah. All right. So I wanted to do quite the demonstration on things. And one more thing I wanted to say. How many of you are still using aerosols for hairspray? One of the things I was looking at is, can I stop using an aerosol and go back to using what we used to use way back when, which is a pump spray, right? One of these. And the reason why I'm mentioning it today is the difference. These two contain the same amount. But the interesting thing is you save $1 just by buying the pump spray rather than the aerosol, and you save the environment. So just a thought. Every day we're thinking one more step, one more step. How many of you have these sort of air fresheners? Okay, so Samantha's saying the product I currently love only comes in an aerosol. All right, so maybe consider, your choices. All right, so how many of you have this sort of aerosol where you have one of these little goodies inside it? I'm hoping that you all know how to refill them. Yeah, Beth does. I'm not surprised. I literally, bought a syringe at the pharmacy. Literally, one of these syringes. They probably all think I'm a user or something. But I just fill that up with whatever, and then I just literally, as you can see here, I just poke a little hole in and I refill them. Okay, so I thought I'd show you that one for those of you who've got that sort of air freshener. So I recommend going to the dollar store and getting their version of Febreze, because this is highly scented. And so therefore it makes it really good to go in these things. How many of you have this type of air freshener? Obviously this one needs redoing. That's why I thought I'd do it for you. And by the way, I love these sort because you can redo them. And all I do is, as you can see, I take a knife and I just pop off that top. I recommend that when you do it, turn the wick around. And oops, maybe if I did it the right way, it would help. No, it's the wrong way. Right. Anyway, turn the wick around because the wick's trying to get a bit tough on top. And then just put in some, not too much of this stuff because it's really quite highly scented, and fill it up with water. Really easy. And then, wrong way up, so. No, it was right way up. It's the wrong way. How many times am I going to get that wrong, people? Anyway, just put the top back on like that. And then, by the way, probably throw this into the dishwasher tonight just to make sure that's nice and clean. But boom, done. And really, a couple of squirts of this will do it. I wondered how many have got this sort of air freshener. Love these. And I would really recommend, I think bang for your buck, these ones really are incredible. You just literally, as the moisture evaporates, these gel cells just diminish, right? They get hard. Doesn't mean they're done. All it means is they need rehydrating. So just literally the same thing. I've got well water here, so that I can put that straight in. Just literally that and a couple of squirts of whatever perfume you want. But I probably had this one 5 years, and I just keep redoing it. Now, one thing I do recommend is my one for the kitchen, I decided to use vanilla. And I really don't like that color. Love the smell, but don't like the color. So I'm busy now, cleaning those gel cells. But that does not look healthy to me. It is. It's the only reason it's that color is because of the vanilla. Yes, Beth is saying that the dollar store has these, and I think they're a great bang for your buck. How much do you sell them for, Beth? About $1.50, I think, in Canada, anyway. So really good bang for your buck. These water-containing cells. Do any of you use this sort of air freshener? Okay, so Beth's saying that these are $1. And I think great bang for your buck because you can refill them. How many of you use this one is a Febreze one, but I think Airwick also makes one a bit like this. Again, really easy to use. I popped the top off these here yesterday, and I just put just because they were pretty old, I just put them into soak, and now I have a vanilla mixture in there. So being who I am, I'm going, why would I waste that, right? Why would I? That just literally came from what was inside. Hang on a second. Come on. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is just refill it. And then one of them I will add a different perfume to it. Actually, that's filled up pretty quickly just with one. So this one, I'm going to put a squirt of this in, because this is really vanilla. 2 squirts apparently. And then there you go. So 2 different flavors, fragrances, and then we're just going to put these back in again. 1, 2, done. Now, I think that a Febreze refill is about $8 in Canada. So what do you think, people? And this I am now going to put into some of my gel cells, because this water is still usable. And, it still has fragrance. So that's awesome. By the way, I also would recommend getting fragrances that you like the smell of. As I said, pick up this this cost $1.50 at the local store here, the dollar type store in Canada. Very highly scented. Or you can get a pump spray. I think these might be discontinued now, but this sort of thing where, it's quite honestly, it's way cheaper to buy one of these to, add a bit of extra oomph to. Yeah. And really very, very good. The other thing I would recommend is maybe go to your dollar store and find yourself a perfume, a knockoff perfume that you like the perfume of, and use a couple of drops of that. Some of you may want to use aromatherapy type essence. Samantha's saying, I've been looking into doing something similar with some sort of containers that I have, and lavender clippings. Yes, exactly. And so, or lemon, if you do put lemon zest in or something like that, there's so many things that you can do. But what I'm looking at is reuse, recycle, and why would you spend another $8 when you can just refill it yourself? And I don't know about you, but I have better things to spend my $8 on. Right? That's how I look at it. So the buck I saved on the hairspray, I can put towards buying something that I really would like. And I'm thinking even of getting quite a lot of the, actually buying these balls, as I want to call them. What are they called? What's the right word for them? Anybody know? These hydrating things. Actually, it's amazing to see the difference. You probably can't see that. Hang on. I did that the wrong way. See if I can get it out again. Oh, yeah, there we go. The slippery little things. Okay, I don't know if you can see the difference between one that's fully hydrated and one that needs more water. See the difference in size? So I'm going to put this one, it belongs to here. How do I know it belongs in there? Because it's the wrong color. All right, so all I'm saying to you is every little bit you can do, it's one less bit of plastic, one less, and saving some money. Now this, I literally take apart, I soak it in some water, and then I'll put it through the dishwasher, give it a good clean, as I will with that. However, this liquid I'm going to keep because I can use it in different containers in the next month. So any questions, people? And do you have any of your own tricks in terms of that you'd like to share? If so, please feel free to add them. Gel beads. Thank you, Jody. She's so good at looking after me. For those of you who don't know who Jody is, she's our admin. Now, I got smart this week. I have a particular USB cord that I use for charging my phone. And it's one of those weird ones. And for the longest time, I have, this little adapter on one of these black leads, but I could never find it, right? Because 99% of all the USB cords are black. And so what I did was I put some blue on the end so that I would know the blue one is the one for my for my phone. And then, if I'm a bit tired, I can't even see the blue. So I put some yellow on it, right? So I know this is the one for the phone. And this week I got so fed up. I thought, why didn't I just get a blue cord? And I will then say, the blue cords are for my phone. And so that's what I was going to suggest to you is either wrap them in a color. And by the way, some of you, are crafty people. So you could even do macrame around it or macrame, depending which country you're from, and make it a really pretty color. But, it's just like, we've got so many of these things. And I don't know how you guys keep them. I wonder how far I have to go to get what I need. But quite often, I will just put a toilet roll over the top of them. Probably got one. How many of you use toilet rolls to contain leads? I just want to see if I've got anything with one on so I can show you. No, not today. Binder clips, keep them together nicely as well. Yes, okay. Do I have a binder clip here? I think I might. I've obviously tidied it away. Yes. So that is one thing. But I found that, literally having them and then just put a toilet roll over the top of them contains them pretty well. And also, basically what you're looking for. I don't know about you, but I think they should mark them so you know whether it's a C clip or a D clip or whatever. But they don't for some reason. Because I found some of them look like they're the same, but they're not. So. Anybody else got a fancy way that they keep their clips? I'd be very interested, their leads. So hopefully you got some useful stuff for you there. Which one did you want to see? Which one did you go, oh, I need to do that with mine? And Beth, yes, please, if you could let us have some of your cleaning tips, I would definitely appreciate it. Because I don't think that we can repeat those sort of things too often. We're all looking for better ways to clean. And I must admit the one major thing that I did notice, that moving into a house that has well water, I've learned not to use the well water on my mirrors or my, anything else, because well water has minerals in it. And whilst that in a way is quite healthy, it is a bugbear if you're cleaning windows and shower doors and stuff like that. So I've now learned to use my filtered water. That's what I use in here, is filtered water. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you. Did you know it's National Iced Tea Day today? You're going, so? Why am I not drinking iced tea? Because I'm drinking coffee. If you have a subject about which you'd like me to speak, remember to let me know at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. Interesting. Jody's saying all great ideas. The syringe refill of the air freshener. Yeah, this one, right? I want to tell you that the only thing is, Jody, because you've got a hole in the back, put the hole pretty high up. Does that make sense? Because you will only be able to fill it to the hole. And the other thing, in case it does leak, I put it on. Yeah, I've only got this at the moment, but I will put it on a lid of some sort, right? Just so in case it does leak. Make sense? But for those of you who've got those sort of fresheners in your car, and some of you have, it's a great way to refill them. I wanted to show you one other sort of air freshener. Hold on 1 second, I've got to find where I got one. I know I got one here somewhere. Just bear with me a second when I find it. Yeah, I just do want to mention, do any of you have this sort of air freshener? I love it. And it automatically sends out a burst of perfume every, you set it here, how often you want it to do that. Do any of you have this side? It's a timed one, yeah. Okay, so this is made by Airwick. Has batteries in it, obviously, and it has a little container. Now, I've refilled mine so many times that the connection here is a bit loose, and that's why I've got a bit of padding underneath there. But literally, it's one of these. Anything that looks like this, you go, oh, goody, 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 because you just pop the top off, put in whatever you want to put in there, and then literally, I fill mine up about once a month, just like that. And there you go. Now, for those of you who've had children, you probably also know that we throw away way too many batteries. Have any of you noticed that if you put a battery that is possibly dead, but you're not sure, if you put it aside for about 3 to 6 months, it seems to recharge? Have any of you found that? So what I do is when I take battery out of something like this, I throw the used ones into a bag. And then about twice a year, about every 6 months, I will test all the batteries in that bag to see which ones have regained a charge and which ones haven't. I don't know what that looks like, Sharon. Sharon's asking me, does refilling the bath and Bodyworks plugins work? I don't know what sort of system. Does it have a system like this? Where it's got this sort of thing in it? If I could see, actually, maybe I need to just have a look at that. So it's a Bodyworks. Oh, Samantha's saying yes. So that's why I showed you all sorts of different ones, because most of them you can do it. And, I just want you to think about, why would you spend $6 replacing these? I think these are about $6. Now, these are $6 in to replace it, that little refill there. That's $6. Anything that has a wick on top. Yeah, anything that looks like this. Does it look? Does it have like a plastic top to it, like this? So if I have anything with one of these tops on it, I just pop the top and refill it. I don't even think twice. Seriously, people, you can save a lot of money, and you can get exactly the essence that you want. All right. So, but I do want to warn you that if you have vanilla as an essence, you're going to have brown liquid. So that would go really well inside. How many of you understand that? The brown liquid will go really well inside here. So I'm going to put this into a bottle. And now I'll be able to refill these with the liquid just that's from here. And I'm not joking. I don't think I've bought a room freshener in years, because I've always refilled mine. You can get clear vanilla. Thank you, Jody. So that will be, on my list to have a look for that, if you remind me. So I hope that helps some of you, but to me, it's like, you can either spend money, we were doing candles the other week. When you look at it, it's so amazing. Oh, by the way, I forgot to add this one. How many of you got one that looks like this? What I found, I know this is going to sound insane to some of you, but I lost the bit that goes inside here. So I thought, wait a minute, why don't I just take some cardboard and literally, and by the way, I can still smell it, but literally take some cardboard and infuse it with that. And there we go. Of course, getting it back on is a little bit of a challenge when you've got arthritis, but we can do this. There we go. Done. How many of you are going, yeah, right? So, and in terms of that, there's something else I'd like to say as well. I found that when you have a box of Kleenex or whatever you use, I put a couple of drops of essence inside the box. Do any of you do that? On the cardboard inside the box? And that means that all the time that you use your facial tissues, they have that aroma to them, and I love that. Also, if you put a couple of drops, hang on. Imagine this is a toilet roll. If you put a couple of drops right here in a toilet roll, then every time you use the toilet roll, it will act as an air freshener. Some of you probably already do that, right? Sharon's saying all her supplies are in to make her first batch of soap. Excited to make it. Maybe tomorrow. I just got home from having pain block. Oh, well, I'm glad you got the pain block. I'm delighted to hear that. So is that what you're going to be doing for Christmas presents this year, Sharon, is making soap for people? And I really would say that this is a really good time to start thinking about what am I going to do, for Christmas presents this year. And, start early. And we'll be talking about that on a regular basis and hopefully coming up with some ideas. So the question that I would have, Sharon, is how much did it cost you to get all the materials together? Because what I want people to just make sure they understand is sometimes making it yourself is more expensive, but it just is so obviously something you spent time and effort on. And I think that is, priceless. You can't put a price on something that you obviously spent time on. And I say that because I think you all know that I make coasters and things like this. And I found that people just can't believe that I actually, made them. And things, trivets and things. So to me, it's just like, it is really, it has heart to it, I think. The question that you always have is, what color do you like? And some of my favorite ones, and I really must say, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get some here, but so that you can see how much fun you can have with them. So, I literally, will do things like this. And I was wondering if you guys would like me to show you how I make the coasters. So let me know if you'd like me to show you how I do this. And the trivets. All right, so Sharon's saying it cost her about $200. But I have enough to make 4 batches of soap, and some equipment can be used for other things. Yes. And that's why I have a box. One of the boxes I have, Sharon, is candle making and soap making, right? Because the molds I will use for different things. So, these sort of things, I haven't been able to give them away because I love these so much. Coasters and trivets, okay. So I will show you that. And quite honestly, that's why I was asking, Sharon, if she'd done the math. So what you're saying is $200 will make you enough presents for how many people? That is the question. Because to me, if you can make, presents for everybody for $200 for Christmas, that is for 40 people. That is the way to do Christmas, Sharon. I'm proud of you. Now, some of you, like Jody, are bakers. I mean, and Jody, I know you're going to have pain issues this year. So I'm thinking when you get your new freezer, maybe it's time for you to make small batches of dough and freeze them so that you won't have all that hard work at Christmas. What do you think? Because your freezer comes in August, right? Mine comes next week. And what I am going to be doing this week is getting to the dollar store because I want to get myself some more of these buckets type the containers, because what I want to do is to have things in the freezer in containers like this. So one container is things like cheese and butter, and one container or 2 containers one maybe for fruit, one for vegetables, so that if I want vegetables, because it's a chest freezer, I know it is this whole lot. Makes sense. I think it'll be a better way to do it, Jody. And I think you've got a chest freezer as well coming, right? All right, so Jody's saying to Samantha, it's about the experience. We had a quote a few weeks back along the lines of, why buy it for $9? Yeah, when you can make it for $247. Yes. Yeah, so Jody's freezer comes in August, the 21st, all right? Yes, I think, Jody, it would be a really good idea for you, because you got increased pain this year, is just think about, what if I made one batch of dough a month between now and Christmas and stick them in that freezer, all right? Or one every 2 weeks, whatever it takes, but so you're not doing it all at the last moment. Now, the other thing I would suggest, Jody, is, hang on a second, let me see if I can find it. Did anybody buy one of these? I have not been able to use it very well, so I was wondering if anybody has got one and managed to make it work. So I was thinking, I might do a test run again and see how I do with it. But I thought it was a great idea at the time of the Christmas baking. All right, Jody said she never had any luck with hers because it just seems to stick in there. Well, Samantha, by the way, Samantha, how did you find us? We love it that you did, but how did you find us? And, Samantha, we have a whole group of people that come in and out of different broadcasts. So just so that you know that. You get to know them very quickly. Did everybody introduce themselves to Samantha? Age-wise, where you live, the usual stuff, just so she feels that she has some sort of understanding of who's who. Jody, these can't be that difficult. So our research is going to be, how do we get these to work? Or are they just, very pretty to have in your kitchen? Don't expect them to work. I'm going to do some more research on mine. Oops, what did I do with my... Okay, so where were we? I just want to get on to the next thing that we have here. Samantha's saying, I actually caught a few of your videos here and there over the last few months, but I didn't have the pleasure of catching you live until today. Oh, don't we love that? The pleasure is all mine. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry, I managed to nuke my... I'll be right with you. Just let me get that back again. I've got all sorts of things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I managed to nuke it just as I was about to tell you them. You can tell this is live, right? All right, it was National Iced Tea Day. We did that. Right. I just wanted to do a little bit. You're from Alabama. Sharon's from Alabama. That's right. Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit. Are any of you having any more problems around the pandemic in terms of being isolated or whatever? I was talking to a number of my friends this week, especially those that are married or in relationships and have been locked together. And I said, I wonder if you realize how lucky you are that all this time you've had somebody to play games with, you've had somebody to talk to about things and so forth. And I said, I want you to give some thought to those of us who are single and alone and have been now for 3 or 4 months. Actually longer, right? February, March, April, May, June, July, 5 months. And I said, because we are missing out on that interaction. And I would really ask all of you who are a couple to think about who do you know that is not a couple, and make sure that on a pretty regular basis, if you can, that you interact with them. I actually have started to say to my friends, I need a coffee time, right? And I'm not even worried about it now. I need to see you face to face. I need to see a reaction. I don't just, it's fine having you on the phone. I don't need you to wear makeup. I don't care if you're in your PJs. I just want to be able to see a face and talk to it. How many of you agree on that one? And so I would challenge you all, who do you know that is on their own? And what are you going to do to make, now that we're into 5 months of this, what are you going to do to make their lives a little easier in terms of communication? And one of my friends was telling me they actually came out to my area, but didn't bother to let me know. And I want to tell you that hurt. And then I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I realized that the reason they hadn't is because they knew that I don't like spontaneous visits, which is fair enough. I don't. But if you knew you were coming out to the area anyway, why didn't you just give me a heads up 24 hours earlier? Yeah, I don't know. I've decided to let that go. I think it was a good excuse. But I actually thank them for letting me know that they did think of me, even if they decided not to visit. But I just said, I appreciate the fact you thought of me. Thank you. So be aware of that, all right? Be aware that some people are going to need a bit more support now. Not because they are less than in any way. It's just they don't have that interaction that, they don't get to watch the news and turn around and go, hey, what do you think about this? They don't have that, right? They're probably having to do it by email or whatever. So I have started a schedule of my friends that I now phone them with a video chat once a week, and they know it's coming. And I spend about an hour with them. Just so that we can really catch up and I can see their reaction to things. So think about that. I want you to think a bit about what it is that you are any of you starting to have negative thoughts? I just wanted to check in with you and see how you're doing. Because what I thought I'd do is just take a second to talk a little bit about changing your mindset. Regardless, we do a lot of that here, changing our mindset. And for those of you who don't know what that is, let me just make sure that I give you the definition. A mindset, if you refer to somebody's mindset, you mean their general attitude and the way they typically think about things. So is it possible that some of you or some of your friends are beginning to resist being stuck at home? Have any of you had people say that? I'm getting fed up with being stuck at home. Because the first thing is, I would recommend that you say, I understand that feeling. We've been stuck at home for 5 months now. Right. So Jody's saying, yes, I've heard that in my circle. So number one, always remember to acknowledge the feeling. All right. Because everybody is entitled to feel. Agreed? Everybody's entitled to have emotion. And so the thing is, yeah, I understand why you would feel that way. We've been locked down for 5 months. And then I just make it, if you can, lighten it a bit and go, the only reason I am not too worried about it is the alternative could kill me. So I am happy to be at home most of the time. There are days when I'm not quite as happy, but I'd rather be safe at home than out there getting a virus that can kill me. And so what you're doing is making sure that you've got the balance in there for the other person. And don't go attacking them saying, what do you mean? You want to go out there and just, get the virus or give it to other people, or don't attack them. Just acknowledge the fact that it's okay to feel. Yeah, Sharon's saying it was tough in the beginning, but it's better now. I think, Sharon, the thing that we will not realize for probably another year is we are training ourselves to be more independent. All right? A lot of people were dependent, and that's why the young people have such a problem. They are so dependent on their friends and their, their little groupies and so forth. Whereas those of us who are older, are able to be much more self-sufficient in our thinking and so forth. How many of you have heard people say, I am really scared I'm going to get sick? So again, make sure you say, I understand why you might feel that way. I think quite a few people do. All right? Don't poo-poo the feeling. Just go, yeah, I can understand why you might have that feeling. And then remind them that the trick is, what are you doing? What are we doing to protect ourselves from that happening? That's the reason. I also am a bit scared of getting sick, sort of laugh about it, go, yeah, me too. And that's why I keep washing my hands and keep using hand sanitizer, and why I put on my mask and do those things, because I want the freedom of being able to go out and go to the store or something. But I am really careful because I don't want to get sick. I totally agree with you. But what you're doing is you're showing them the fear of getting sick is normal, right? It's, but you can still go out. Doug came to visit me this week to do the weed whacking. And, if you could have seen us, we're busy hugging like this, from 6 feet away. We were wearing masks when we needed to be closer to each other, but most of the time we sat a good 9 feet apart and chatted. And by the way, the glass he used, because I gave him iced water, the glass that he used and the container sat outside for 2 days before I brought it inside and then put it in the dishwasher. And by the way, before I brought it inside, I spritzed it with, an antiseptic thing. And then put it in the dishwasher. But then I brought it inside and put it in the dishwasher. So, and that's Doug, right? Who is super careful. I've got Yvonne coming to visit me on Saturday. Yay! For those of you who don't know, Yvonne is my friend, my very dear friend, and she was my tenant for nearly 20 years. Hi, Jamie, good to see you. And she's coming. It'll be the first time that I have seen her for probably 4 months. And she just said to me, I'm coming to visit. And I went, yay. So, to me, it's like, that is such a thrill for me. Such a thrill. Thank you, Jody. And thanks, Sam, for the contribution. I want to say that, but I'm going to make sure I've got extra gloves available and an extra mask available. So I know she's going to want to come and see inside my house. Oops. So, and she's probably going to need to use my washroom. Luckily, okay, so Jody's saying, what if a friend doesn't understand my concern for getting ill? I don't know how many different ways to say it. I'm high risk, stay away now, please. It's just be a broken record. I really, I think the important thing, Jody, is for you to keep saying, but that does not take away from the fact that I can hear you really care and you want to see me. All right? And so I'd love to say, my attitude is I'm going to see Yvonne and we're going to spend most of the time outside. By the way, I'm doing it now before the winter comes. This is going to be more difficult in the winter. All right. How do we do this in the winter? That's what I'm thinking about. So I know that the moment somebody comes into my house, there is a higher risk. But my question is, if they're wearing a mask inside my house, if they are really aware of, because I don't know that I'm not a carrier. You see, that's the whole thing I keep saying to people. I need you to wear gloves, not because I think you're going to give it to me. I don't know if I am a carrier. You see, if you take responsibility, it changes it, Jody. Right? So two things. Number one, I hear the love, but part of what really worries me is I don't know if I'm a carrier. I'm pretty sure that I'm not, because if I got it, I would probably not be alive today. And, you do, I think, I got a compromised immune system. That's what you need to tell them time and time again. This is not that I don't want to see you. And my attitude is this, Jody. If you want to see me, then let's do it on FaceTime or Zoom or, I did a call yesterday on WhatsApp with one of my friends. We just have to be flexible to do it their way. You know what I mean? Whatever app it is that they want to use it. I keep saying to people, you don't think I want to go down and see baby Leah? Right? I got a new baby in the family. You don't think I want to go down to the States and go and see her? Of course I do. But will I? No. And they know that. They know I'm not going to be getting there. I hope one day I will meet her. Exactly. Jody is saying, Samantha, it's up to us to make the choices that are right for our health. Yeah, you see, otherwise we're being manipulated. I don't want you to feel guilty for caring about your health. Now let's talk about that, because that's important. How about you give me some of the things that people say, right? How are they trying to manipulate you? And let's make sure we got the right answers. Are any of you getting concerned that we might go down into another 6 months of lockdown? And do you have the right supplies? So this is the thing I'm constantly, be prepared, not scared, people. We could go into at least another 6 months of lockdown, I believe. And so again, please remember, every time you shop, don't buy the smallest thing, buy the biggest thing. Why? Everything is going to become so much more expensive. So if you want shampoo, don't buy this size, buy this size. You know what I'm saying? If you watch out for whatever's on sale and get some. Oh, so the manipulation that Jody has heard is, it's been 3 years since we saw one another. I want to visit soon. And you just answer the way that, the way I answer something like that when they say, when it's that something they want to do. And I will say, yeah, and I want Brad Pitt and I'm not going to get him. So here's the thing. I want to say yes. I know you want me to say yes, but I'm going to say that I cannot say yes, because if you accidentally bring that with you without knowing that you are a carrier, I will be dead. And so it's not that I don't want to see you. Of course I want to see you, and I can. That's what we've got Zoom for. That's what we've got WhatsApp for. We can see each other. We just can't be that close. The other thing is this. How about you say, I tell you what, why don't we meet in the park? In other words, that you literally meet in an open area if you are prepared to stay 9 feet away. Or we can be much closer. We can be this close if we do it on Zoom, and we have no chance of infecting one another. You see, Jody, do you know that you haven't got it, or that Lionel hasn't got it? And they might even use that as an excuse. Well, does Lionel go out and bring it in every day? Yeah, because otherwise we wouldn't eat, or we wouldn't whatever, so he has to. But that is a risk we have to take. There is a difference between that. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am limiting the number of times I leave my house to no more than once a week. What are the rest of you doing? I'm obviously not working. And I understand that, if you're working, that could be very different. I've noticed that I'm hearing people beginning to panic a bit about what am I going to do in the winter, all right? Because I am a social person and I won't be able to be outside with people. So we got to get people prepared for that. If you care about people, make sure they're prepared, not scared. Say, I want to make sure that we have this regular meeting where I see your face because the winter is coming. Right? And in winter, we will not be able to do this the same way. I think we definitely will see a resurgence of the drive-in theater, for example. I think we're going to see more of that because people will just want to get out. And it's just like, let's have drive-in theaters again. Samantha's saying exactly. I have friends who feel safe because of their age. And one of my closest friends doesn't understand why I'm staying in my house still. I have 2 small children and can't afford to be sick. Well, nor do you want to give this. How do you feel, Samantha? That's a discussion we should have. How do you guys feel about the fact that in the States, they're demanding that the schools open, and if you don't open, we're withholding the funding? Yeah, right. That's called blackmail. And, is that even legal? So you're saying, my children become guinea pigs now for this system? I don't think so. I think an awful lot of people will homeschool their children this year. I think the other thing is be aware that not all of your friends handle change well. The greatest gift you can give yourself in this pandemic is to be flexible, right? To be, to go, yeah, I'd like to go out, but it is what it is, so I'm not going to be doing that. Or I go out once a week, mostly just to get some different perspective. I want some fresh air. I want to see some nice things, and I want to charge up my battery. So I actually take, I do whatever shopping I might need, I might need to fill up with gas. I can't do that online, right? I can't buy the gas for my car online. I have to go out for that. And there's certain things that I need that I can't get online. So, I'd save that up and do that trip. And so to me, I use it as my outing. And I spend at least an hour driving around, looking at things and just enjoying what there is of summer. And I realize that I can be flexible about that. And I would encourage you to make sure that your friends, are prepared to carry on doing this for another 6 months. Samantha's saying that's such a scary thought. My God, my girls live with me here in Canada, where the public health is usually a higher priority than politics. Yeah, you're glad about that. Yeah, I want to tell you something. I have never been so glad to be Canadian. It's just like, really? And we do know, as I keep saying to people, you do understand that the incredible cost we will be paying this off for the next 2 decades, or maybe even generations, quite honestly. The cost is horrific. And what happens is people are going to need more stimulus to be able to survive, which means they're going to print more money, which means the value of money will go down. You know what I mean? It's just going to be a horrific series of events, but it doesn't mean we won't survive it. Right? It doesn't mean that we won't survive it. As long as we stay flexible, as long as we deal with reality, not in, how many people have I heard say to me, well, I'm looking forward to when it goes back to normal. And I'm going, you actually think it's going to go back to normal? That's interesting. Or as Tom Hanks said in It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, that's an interesting perspective. I personally don't think it's ever going to go back to what we thought was normal. I really don't. I don't think we will ever go back to what was normal. If you think about it, how many, they're already talking about a new pneumonia. Have you read about that? There's a new pneumonia going now in in China or somewhere. No, Kyrgyzstan or something. There's a new pneumonia that is worse than this COVID-19. And so, this is like the reason that the virus is spread so quickly now is because we travel so much. So the next thing is really don't travel unless you really have to. And don't travel if there's any way that you can not travel. So, I've got friends saying to me, I'm waiting for it to go back to normal. And I'm going, well, don't hold your breath. Really, don't hold your breath. What do you mean? Well, I don't think it's ever going to go back to normal. I think we're living the new normal. Now, if we are living the new normal, if we are already living the new normal and this is freedom, could you live with it? See, that's my question to you. If this is the new normal, is that okay? And not perfect, but is it okay? If you can survive by doing this. You see, that's the way I look at it. I go, hey, don't like it, but if that's what it takes to live, yeah, I can do that. I go for a walk 3 or 4 times a week with my neighbor. And, it's difficult to keep the social distancing. Yeah, and Jodi's saying it has to be okay. We need to adapt to survive, right? That is the choice we have. We can complain about it as much as we want, but the truth is, if you want to survive this, don't be impatient. Keep saying to yourself, okay, this is the new normal. Now then, how am I going to entertain myself and my family? How am I going to educate myself and my family? Think about, boy, I always wanted to have a 6-month vacation. I got it. What am I going to do with it? I've already had it. How many of you already realize you've had nearly 6 months of vacation? And then I heard a comment as well, which was, it's like, oh, there's too much uncertainty right now. So remember, we cannot control what's going on out there, right? What is the only thing we can control? I mean, you guys have been around me long enough to know the answer to this one. Only thing we can control is our reaction to what's happening. So, for example, if you are getting really upset reading or seeing on TV, that, in the States that your president is saying one thing and your medical people are saying something completely different, you need to make a choice as to which one you want to go with and not get upset when the other people say the opposite, right? It's like your job is not to get upset. Just go, they're entitled to their opinion. All right. And they're entitled to their opinion. The fact that it's putting thousands of people at risk is something you're going to have to deal with. And that's what you have elections for. Because quite honestly, I am wondering if, I don't think you can force a child back to school, can you? You can choose to homeschool them. And this is the whole thing. I understand why they want, or he particularly wants everybody back in school, because if the children are in school, the single parents can go back to work. And that's what he wants, is to grow the economy again. And so I understand that, logically, but is it worth it, people? You decide. There is so much uncertainty. So if you cannot control the uncertainty, and what if this is the good time? What if the uncertainty is twice as bad in 6 months' time? Will you still be able to adapt? So my question to you is, what are you doing that's helping you adapt? All right. What are you thinking? What do you say to yourselves? Because maybe it'll help somebody else. I'm watching, for example, I will be ordering online, because that's how I get my groceries now. I order online, and I'm watching the prices go up, and I'm going, wow, look at the price of that now. And then I go, yeah, but we were prepared. So I'm so glad I've got that in stock. So one of the things I keep doing is giving myself a boost for thinking ahead of the game. And I hope some of you are doing the same thing. For example, I think I've got at least 2 months worth of toilet paper in my house, if I need it. Plus, I've dramatically reduced the amount of toilet paper I use. So, it's like, I think we're learning things along the way, which I think it's really a good thing. I think the environment, how many of you have noticed the sky is bluer, there's not as much smog and stuff, and the oceans will be much cleaner. All right, so Samantha's saying, from what I know, it's a legal gray area. This is about the children going back to school. But no, you should not be able to force anyone to have their children attend. But I do think they could insist on regulating the homeschooling somehow. Yep. I think so as well. I think that they're going to, I don't know how it's done because I don't have children and I'm not homeschooling, but I think they're going to need to check people in that they're homeschool online. And I think they're going to need to, literally have a more, for example, doctors and lawyers and things like that, they can do their advanced education from their offices, but they have to clock in physically, that the moderator can see that you are there. And then they have to stay on live feed so that the moderator can see you stay there. So I think those sort of things, Samantha, might come into play. In other words, yes, you can homeschool, but you need to have a video on to show that your children are being homeschooled, not that they're busy playing and you're pretending that they're learning. I also think, quite honestly, that a lot of homeschooling will become more like Montessori. That children will learn at their own speed, which might be an even better thing for some children. So my question to you is, can we control what is happening? No, except we do need to know the law. So what I would do is, if you don't know what the law is, do you have the right to not send your children to school if it's mandated that the schools must be open? I would check that out, in whatever way you can, be it with, your friend's friend who's a lawyer or whatever. Find out what the law says, whether you are forced to possibly put your children at risk. I don't think they can force you to do that myself. I think you have to be able to homeschool. So Yeah, so Samantha's saying, yes, exactly. Standardized testing and following an exact curriculum. I think that will become more stringent. And I think that, maybe there will be weekly testing or whatever to make sure that the children are up to speed. And also we will need to make sure, I've got something else that I want to say, that we're not necessarily talking about preschoolers and things. How do you do that with a teenager? All right, that is, I think, a difficulty. A teenager that maybe doesn't learn very well at school maybe is going to have even less ability from home because there's so many distractions. So how are we going to help that student? And I think they will need to be more one-on-one teaching for those students. In other words, that you maybe a buddy system where, okay, you and John together are a unit and you teach one another during the week, and then we'll see how you're doing. And if you can't learn enough with John, we're going to find you, James or Frida or whatever. I think that the systems will change. And we will need to help that change, come up with the ideas and voice them. Jody's reminding me to do the countdown, so I'm going to do that. I've still got a lot of stuff, but I'll probably add it into tonight's. It seemed to go very quickly for me today. We've got 8 months and 27 days until Easter, people. And only 7 months and 1 week until Valentine's Day. Wow. Christmas, 167 days. How many of you going, wait a minute, wasn't it 200 last week? 167 days until Christmas. I'm definitely going to start working on Christmas presents. Overseas Christmas cards need to be in the mail in 4 months and 24 days. Start thinking, have you got the Christmas cards, or are you going to make your own this year? Thanksgiving for the US, 4 months and 19 days. For those of you who celebrate the US Thanksgiving. For those of you who celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving, we've only got 3 months, of course, because we celebrated in October. I want to say that it's the 10th way. For those of you who understand Mercury being in retrograde, we've only got 2 more days. Have any of you noticed some really strange things have been happening recently? Into that, keep going. Yeah, and Mercury's in retrograde. So we got 2 more days and then we're out of retrograde. And so that is really good to hear. I'm really happy. We've had 20 days of summer, but for those of us who live where I live, we're all going, I think we had 1 day of summer. We had a great spring and then suddenly summer came and the rain started and the cold. Literally, my furnace has been kicking in. It's been insane. But, it is what it is. So I'm just going to enjoy it as best I can and be very grateful. See, the trick is to be grateful. I'm so glad the furnace still kicks in, And by the way, I was really concerned about the fact that I, maybe was spent too much on heating this place in the winter. But they sent me a comparison. I don't know if you have that where you live, but the energy people send me a comparison of how much am I spending on energy versus my neighbors average. And I'm way below. So I'm going to crank up the heat a bit more this year. It was my first winter, so I was, trying to find out what the right thing was, but apparently I'm okay. I'm not overdoing it. For those of you who know that I moved here, just, if you can think of it, it is now 6 months to the day that I moved here. And, I was saying to my friends yesterday, I've still got so much to unpack. And I said, I feel like I'm being a bit slow about that. And they're going, so we've lived in our house for 3 years and we haven't finished unpacking. We still have a storage unit that we're paying $300 a month for. That's how big it is. And I'm going, Oh, okay. And, you know, I haven't started in the shed. You do know that. You know, it's just the boxes inside that I'm trying to clear this year. Next year, I will work on the ones in the shed. But I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, 6 boxes still in the dining room that I haven't opened. And the reason I haven't opened them is because I know what's in them. You know, it's like, I don't really need that right now. Because if I open them, I've got to find places to put that stuff. So they might end up in a back room any minute now. You know, it's just like, I'm not sure. I think I might just leave them in the box. Do any of you relate to that? It's like, and I'm busy at the moment taking things, opening up a box and emptying it so I know exactly what's in the box and then reboxing it. Can you believe that? I'm remarking the box, going, okay, this is what's in this box. Jody made a comment, and I'd like us all to think about this, which is my big scare this week was that somebody out of the blue started to let off fireworks, and big ones, and, you know, literally in the next property. And they weren't little flashbang things, they were big ones that made a horrible amount of noise. And I want to tell you, it scared the living daylights out of me. But I kept thinking, what about the dogs? How many people with dogs, how many dogs were traumatized because of that? And I remember saying to one of my neighbors, isn't that illegal? And they're going, oh, I thought it was wonderful. And I'm going, really? You know, and they looked at me like I was a killjoy. And I'm going, I just kept thinking about how many people with dogs were not prepared for that. And how many dogs went into trauma because out of the blue and without their owners being ready to protect them. You know, scary. How many dogs ran away from home because of it? You know what I mean? It's just like, it is so scary to me. So what we wanted to do, and Jody and I have put it into our follow-up system, is before we get to that time of the year next year, we're going to do a couple of broadcasts where we come up with ways we can look after our pets with fireworks time coming. So you do it on the 3rd of July in the States. And so, you know, Jody, I think we should just have an ongoing list of things, all right, that we sort of keep it on a regular basis, because you've got 4th of July, we had Canada Day on the 1st of July. Then we've got, you know, Guy Fawkes for the people in the UK coming up. You know, when else do they have fireworks in the US? Let's think about that. And you can all let us know, and we'll keep remembering not only that you look after your pets, and if you're going, well, I don't have any, but who do you know that has pets that you need to give them a heads up and go, we're about to go into fireworks time again. You know, what are you doing to help? And if any of you have got a friend who is a vet or something, you know, that would be nice to hear from them, or let's do some research and let's put it all together so we can help one another. And Jody, I really thank you so much for mentioning that, because I think it's a really important thing that we can do for one another and our friends, is to help them remember that this is an important thing. I don't believe that we have any birthdays in the coming week. And if we do, please let us know, because it's not on our list. But I do know that Kerry's mom is about to have eye surgery. I think she has it on the 16th, if I remember it correctly. And then also we have got Erin's scan coming up. And I think that's on the 22nd. So just know that we've got a couple of viewers that are going to go through some difficult times. My mistake of the week, this will really blow your mind. You know, I did those videos with the crepe maker, and I hope that you enjoyed the the crepes. I certainly did. And I had to laugh because timing is everything. About the time that I actually released those videos making crepes with that crepe maker, they ran out of stock at Amazon. So, it was just like, okay, it could only happen to me, right? That's good. So what we'll do is we'll wait until it's closer to Christmas and we'll do some more. You see, I could beat up on myself or I could just laugh and go, yep, that sounds like me. And it was just like, how was I to know that? No. But I think the main thing is, somebody wrote to me and said, that looks wonderful. Can I do it in a pan? Of course you can make a crepe in a pan if you have talent. The reason I wanted to show you the crepe maker is not because it just makes crepes. It's all the other things I do with it. And I will be doing other things with it. I did a lot of learning this week, just so that you know. One of the things I learned, Jody, and for those of you who know, I've got my earbuds that I can walk away. But here's what I found out, Jody, after having the earbuds for a month. I didn't realize that I can actually pair them and get them active without taking them out of the container where they charge. Now that is a big thing because that means I don't have to put them in and start wasting the battery until the very last moment. I just set it up so I know it's connected. And then at the last moment, I put them in. So that's taken a lot of stress off me, Jody, and just so that you know. And for anybody else that might have these sort of earphones. However, let me tell you the frustration. I was busy on a telephone call that, or a WhatsApp call, and I forgot to connect these to my phone. Disconnect them from my computer and onto my phone. And, it just takes too much time when you're actually on that call. So I need to make a reminder to myself, if I'm going to do that, I need to connect the earphones before I make the call. You heard that Doug came to visit, and that was wonderful. And I got the weed whacking done. My neighbor is busy rebuilding something. And of course, he's chosen this weekend to do it when I've got Yvonne coming, but never mind. Luckily, it's Yvonne. She won't mind. Not only did I have a couple of beans this week, and this is the one that I'm going to add to my vegetables, but I also had my own radish that I grew. It was so exciting. It was about this big. And, it's just like, why does it taste completely different when you've grown it yourself? No idea. And in terms of procrastination, by the way, if any of you had any achievements, we'll talk a bit more this evening about it, but I'm still procrastinating on a couple of areas, but I'm going to talk about that later. Okay, here is what I wanted to share with you in terms of a couple of hints. Do you link tasks? Do you multitask things? And the reason I'm asking that is, I was busy, I know that once a week I'm going to be filling up my medications, right? And all my medications, all my pills and the bottles, everything, all in one drawer. But what I've started to do, and some of you are going to smile because you can imagine me doing this, I put a feather duster in that drawer as well. Now you're going, why? Because if it's time to put new pills in the pill dispensers, then it's also time to dust my bathroom and bedroom. Do you understand the link? And literally I go, oh yeah, I know why it's there. It's to remind me it's been a week since I've dusted. So what I'm doing is, I must say that the dust level in this house is far less than my previous ones. The other thing I wanted to say about cleaning, which I found a really good thing. Get one of these bottles, or any bottle you like, and put some nice smelling something in there. But I've learned something, and I'm certain a lot of you know this as well. There is one thing just to dust something. I'm just going to dust my computer, right? There's one thing just to dust something. But if you wet dust, and that means, what can you guys see? Okay, so there's one thing to just dust. Okay. But if you wet dust, I'm spraying first. Okay, you will not only pick up more dust, you will contain more dust. And if you do it with a bottle that has scented water in it, you also will smell in that room. You know what I mean? It's just like I've learned to do that now. I wet dust with a spray that has some perfume in it of some sort. So that's, I thought I would share with you. I will dust with a feather duster, and then once a month I will wet dust around the room. So just thought I'd share that with you. Hope that helps some of you. All right, so Samantha's saying I have terrible, oh, wait a minute. Samantha, I just want to check whether it's okay for me to repeat that diagnosis. Jody's saying that my house must smell amazing. That's one thing I've learned. Okay, thanks, Samantha. I'd like to just check with new viewers because not everybody remembers this is going on the replay afterwards. So Samantha said, I have terrible ADHD. So I have to leave myself little reminders like that, or I don't remember to do anything. And I agree with you, absolutely. And also, she's saying, try using fabric softener on the duster. Fabric softener is a really great idea. So I think all sorts of little tricks like that. And that's why we love to have these get-togethers, because we share these great ideas. And Jody having full compassion saying, Samantha, I have a maximum of 50 reminders set on my phone at all times. I hear you. And you know something, Samantha? Some of those reminders are to remind Sal of things. Because, she's a real mother hen. Thank goodness. And we love her for it. So, guys, I hope that you have had some value in today's broadcast. And I also hope that you have noticed that I've been cutting up the big broadcasts into smaller videos so that people can, see them on the replay. If they don't have time to sit down for the full 2 hours, they can see the topics that they want to watch. And so that's a little bit more work, but it actually, I think, is helping. So that's it. And by the way, I've got a new intro, and I wonder if any of you, like it or don't like it or whatever, let me know. And I will, it's amazing when you have the same intro all the time and suddenly you change it, it feels really weird. But, that's how we keep growing, right? And I thought that we're getting closer to, as we get into winter, I'm going to pull out the halogen again and do more work with the halogen, because I definitely want to see how it does the fruit roll-ups and things. By the way, Jody and anybody else that's interested in the fruit roll-ups, I'm just doing a whole stack here. I've got all sorts of stuff here. And one of the things I've realized that I know Jody will be interested in is that You know these nut bags, Jody? They are ideal for putting the leathers on, because they, let the liquid drop through, but the actual contents stay on top. And the other thing is, these sort of containers are great for them as well. They're really good. So, and all I am doing is just leaving them in my toaster oven, just as they are. I'm just letting them air dry, if you like. So I'm loving the roll-ups, I must admit. I now, at the end of the week, I go, okay, what grapes are about to go? One lot I've got there are grapes. Oh, I did a fruit and vegetable one. I did, let me think. I did grapes with apple and carrot and, oh, yam. I have no idea how they're going to taste, but I have done them. So that's what I wanted to find out. What is the combination of fruit and vegetables? All right, so Samantha saying, thank you, Jody, and thank you to Mama Sal. It was a pleasure to meet you and join in the chat with you all. Well, come back and see us. As I said, we do another one tonight at 7 Pacific time, where we laugh, and then we do the Soul Sunday on Sunday. So really come and share your knowledge with us and help us help other people. And what we're all about, Samantha, not only helping ourselves cope, but it's helping our family and friends cope as well, because we are constantly doing work on our mental ability to cope with all that's going on in our lives. That's what it's all about, in my view. If we can help each other cope, then I know, because of the sort of people that we are, that we will help other people cope. And that's the important thing. So everybody, thank you so much for taking your time to be here. I appreciate it. Jody, I know you were concerned about the fact that I put orthotics into my shoes. And what I didn't realize, Jody, and I just wanted to do it on the broadcast so I could show you, but what happened is that they have arch support, which lifted this part of my foot, right? The inside of my foot with the arch support, which put extra pressure on my little toes, the bones of my little toes. And that is where the pressure was. So I'm going to wear them for sort of like an hour or so a day until that, that part of my foot has been desensitized, let's put it that way. But it was amazing. I wore them and walked down to the mailbox and back again. And by the time I got back, I'm going, yeah, I can feel it. Which is a good thing, because that means that I really, my arches were were fallen. And because otherwise, if my arches were not fallen, I wouldn't have felt that pressure. That's how I look at it. So although it was painful, it is good. And I will continue to wear them and continue to straighten up. I've realized in a couple of things that, my balance points are not, my balance points are not right. And Jody's saying it takes time, like wearing Birkenstocks. Absolutely. And that, quite honestly, I want to get myself a new pair of Birkenstocks, some rubber ones, I think, that they now make. But I will probably... I think it's really important when we're spending so much time inside and not wearing the right shoes. That's what I realized, is I need to really protect my balance. And, I've got to increase my balance, because I think what happens is when we spend our lives, walking around in flip-flops or whatever, we are not doing our posture any favors. All right. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you tonight. I am very, very grateful that you're all here and we're all helping one another. I don't know what I would have done for the last few months if I didn't have you guys to talk to 3 times a week. You are my lifeline now. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, look after one another, but please, 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 regardless of what anybody else wants you to do, look after yourself. Because nobody cares about your life as much as you do. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, we can do this together. Can't we? Bye-bye for now.